This is One-on-One. Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. Welcome to the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of Lincoln Center. It is my honor to have, back by popular demand, Eric Bolling.
Hi, Steve.
From the Fox News Channel. Can I plug your two shows?
Please.
You're on at the 5. You do the 5, which is on every day at?
5 people, 5 o'clock. Easy.
I love that. And the other one is Cashin In, which is one of the highest rating shows on the weekends?
It is the highest rated show on the weekend, yeah.
What time?
All of cable news, 10:30 Central Time, Eastern Time, 11:30 a.m.
Interesting. Your entrance into broadcasting.
Yeah.
Not so traditional, if you will, huh?
Well, I played pro baseball for a little while and blew my
Everybody
my
in
shoulder.
broadcasting.
Right.
You played for the Pirates.
I played for the Pirates. I blew my rotator cuff and I needed a job and just kind of worked my way to New York and found the trading floor and started trading on the trading floor. One day, oil was moving up and the first time it was going to hit $35 a barrel for the first time. And a reporter was down there and I can't even remember who she was. It may have been Liz Clayman, maybe, or Melissa Francis, one of them, stuck a microphone in my face with a camera and said, "What's going on?" I gave her my best 90 seconds, and CNBC called and said, "Hey, can you do that again?" I said, "Sure." We did it a couple of times. They said, "Can you do it every day?" And I said, "Sure." Eventually, it became, "You want to do a TV show?" And I said, "Absolutely." So I helped develop Fast Money, which has been on CNBC for about, I guess, 8 years or so.
When did you come over to Fox?
Why or when?
When?
7 years ago.
Why?
Roger Ailes said...
Oh, Roger Ailes works there?
Yeah. He said...
the boss.
He said, "Look, we're doing something interesting over here with Fox Business.
Right.
You know, you can kind of paint your own picture, blank canvas. You want to try it?" I did. I came over and did the little Fox Business for a while. I realized that I liked the politics as well as the business, so I made the leap over the wall into the Fox News Channel, and it's been great ever
You
since.
sat in for O'Reilly, and you've done a bunch of other things. What do you like about that place? Especially given the fact that a fair number of folks believe leans hard to the right and that there's a clear point of view, even though the logo, if you will, and the brand is fair and balanced.
Yeah.
You say?
I say we are the balance. If you look at mainstream media, it's very liberal. Steve, you may push back on this, but you look around, you watch what goes on broadcast television at night, the news shows, you get a very left-leaning liberal news broadcast. Then you go to cable, MSNBC, CNN.
I don't believe CNN leans in the way you just said.
Yes, absolutely.
Not in the same way that you said MSNBC does.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. I think CNN tries to play the middle a little bit, but they definitely lean left. Zucker came from NBC.
Jeff Zucker,
who's running CNN, he came from NBC, the farthest left-leaning of all the broadcast networks. So, yeah, there is a left lean to CNN, and the beauty of Fox is you can go right, but we bring a lot of lefties on, and we have point counterpoint.
What you call them, lefties?
Lefties, liberals, progressives.
You know, you said to me right before we got in the air, by the way, we should let folks know, Eric and I have known each other for a while, and I really respect his work tremendously, even though we agree on about 4 things.
We agree on a lot of things, Steve.
Most of what we agree on is the entrepreneurial spirit.
Right, absolutely.
We were just joking before. I spend half my time, I love the studio, but you don't get to be in the studio if you don't raise money, and we talked about that entrepreneurial spirit.
Mm-hmm. You're a good businessman.
You have to be in this business.
Yeah.
But I will say this. You say that you are a legitimate, all-in libertarian.
Right.
And I say you're not, and here's why.
Can I qualify that with
Sure.
a little bit? I grew up, family has always been conservative. I've always been conservative. In the last 2 years or so, I realized that the conservative party, the conservative wing of the Republican Party, needs help. They need new blood. They need fresh ideas. They need more young, interesting people to get into the party. The Libertarians were very interesting to me. Everything they were talking about was really, really interesting. So about 2 years ago, I started to ascribe to a lot of the things that Libertarians ascribe to, their beliefs, their ideology. I love what the Libertarian movement is all about. Smaller government, social issues, leave it to the individual. So go ahead. I love it. I feel fully all in with Libertarians.
I hear you, but here's the thing. I also know that you live in New Jersey, and I also know that you love this area.
They do.
And I also know that you appreciate and understand the importance during Hurricane Sandy and after for the federal government to take a very strong hand, to be intimately involved in doing what people could not do for themselves. And there's no libertarian point of view, respectfully, Eric, that could do what the federal government is failing in many ways to do, but if done correctly, has to do, that government has to do. what is the libertarian point of view when people are in need?
Help people in need. That's the libertarian point of view, but don't go overboard to seek out people and tell them they need help and then go ahead and offer help until they don't, beyond the point of them needing help. Steve, do we really need 99 weeks of unemployment insurance? Everything you hear now, the economy's getting better. Barack Obama has 47 months of straight job growth. Things are going so great in the economy, yet we're spending $100 billion in the food stamp program alone. We're spending somewhere around $700 or $800 billion in welfare payments, in welfare transfer payments. So if things are getting better, well, when people need, you go ahead and you offer help for need. But then when things do get better, you have to start scaling back the help, and that's the part that government just doesn't get.
But you do believe there is a really legitimate and important role for government, particularly when the distance, if you will, between those who are doing really well. Some of us, frankly, are doing really well, and those who are struggling to get work, even if they're out there on the streets looking for work every day. And you don't think there's a role for government to help those folks?
Look, you want to be pure libertarian, you can say, well, then let people keep their own money.
Yeah, you're on your own.
Everyone's on their own,
right. But you don't believe that.
Well, I think there has to be a lot less of what's going on. So if we're doing all this here, we're taxing people to the hilt. Steve, you're taking home less than half your paycheck. I don't care what you tell anyone. You're taking home less than half, right? So if we're taxing success up here, and we're providing all these services over here, you can even it out a little bit. Tax a little bit less. Let people work for themselves. Let them, yes, the most needy need to be helped. I get that. But 47 million people on food stamps right now. Really? 15% of the country on food stamps.
I hear you, but at the same time, you would push back, given what people are facing on the minimum wage. You wouldn't say, you know what, the president...
No minimum wage. Get rid of the minimum wage.
Oh, come on, Eric. You wouldn't turn around and say that
the minimum wage do,
the minimum
Steve?
wage $10 and a few cents more.
Who pays the minimum wage?
The people who are employing those people.
The employers pay the minimum wage. So what happens if you put the minimum wage above? If the market price for wages,
right,
all right, labor, supply demand, so everything has a supply demand curve. Steve Adubato has a supply demand curve. One of the camera guys has a supply demand curve. Wherever that
those guys are overpaid, but that's
okay.
Different.
Well,
I'm joking.
Wait.
But they all just walked out.
Do you know why? Because they're union.
No, don't you dare say anything about the PBS guys.
Let me just tell you why they're overpaid. Because the supply and demand hits at a price. Then the union says, you know what? Here's minimum wage, and here's our price above minimum wage. And then you go ahead and you have people who are
on the
overpaid.
record. I got no beef. I love you guys, but go ahead. But here's the thing: I'm minimum wage.
But let me just explain something.
Lay off the union guys.
All right, fine, whatever. We can talk about that another time. If you put a price, if you dictate a price, mandate a price above the supply and demand price, you're gonna everything between those two areas, those jobs are going to go away, and that's why China is doing all the things. Every time you buy a cup, that Starbucks cup, you look on the bottom, it says "Made in China." You know why? Because you can't make them here anymore, Steve, because you have to pay minimum wages, and you can't afford to make that stuff.
But based on that argument, you might argue then, why don't you pay them $5 or $4?
No.
Because then more people would work.
You're a free market. You're a smart business guy.
I'm a very free market guy, but I believe there's got to be some.
Dictate. You know what, Steve? So a McDonald's worker in New York City is clearly going to get paid more than someone where the cost of living is a lot lower.
I would agree.
Because of the demand.
You're saying geography and the cost of living.
Everything. Let the free market dictate. Don't put a federal minimum. By the way, federal minimum wage.
You say state by state.
Absolutely state by state, and none if possible, but if you must, state by state.
Biggest beef with Barack Obama?
He's a liberal left. He's a left-leaning socialist that wants he wants to tax success so that everyone has an even playing field. I've heard fair share, fair shot so many times from this guy, and that, Steve, as a business guy, that's not what it's all about. It's about taking risk, about trying to succeeding and being rewarded for your success.
Biggest reason he won so big in the last election, then?
Republicans didn't have one. They had a moderate. We've had Republicans that put up Mitt Romney and John McCain the last two elections, two moderate Republicans that, frankly, who would never ascribe to the things I'm saying.
So
who wouldn't say no minimum wage? Who wouldn't say lower taxes? Who wouldn't say things like this? We have a conflict going on in Ukraine and in Russia.
As we speak right now.
I think we should let them do their own thing. It's not.
You say get
conflict.
out.
Don't even get involved. If Russia is taking part of the Ukraine. They want the Crimean region of the Ukraine, right? None of our business. Ukraine, Russia, They trade with Germany. They trade with the EU. They have a lot of relationships there. If those people, if the Germans and the whole European Union doesn't want to get involved, why does America have to go in and say, I think Russians, you should get out of Crimea for Ukraine? Why, it's not our fight. So I don't. Again,
Protecting free people, not our fight.
No, American interests.
Yeah.
Protect them.
But if it's not our economic interest, don't protect them. Based on a human rights point of view.
Absolutely not.
Okay, that is libertarian.
Based on a national security and/or national interest risk, then yes.
If you don't, okay, real quick, the guy you like, Rand Paul.
Love him.
Because? Not even like him, love him. Why?
I love him because he's that guy. He's the one who says, if it has an American interest in it, go ahead. Drones. He's all for drones, as long as you're protecting American interests and not violating the Constitution. He's a constitutionalist. I love the Constitution. I live by the Constitution.
And you're not a big fan. I was surprised to hear this. You're not a big fan of Chris Christie's.
I was. I voted for Christie the first time. I live in the town he grew up in. My son pitched off the same Little League mounds that Chris Christie pitched off of. And then when he pushed back, well, the whole back and forth with Hurricane Sandy.
You didn't like the
money,
Obama thing.
I didn't like it. It was
a lot of people said
poorly timed.
Even though right before the election, 2000.
It really put a nail in Romney's coffin, which was probably already closed already.
What do you owe Mitt Romney? Don't you sit back and say, hey, Chris Christie was doing what he needed to do for the state of New Jersey?
I don't like progressive politics. I just don't like tax more and spend more. I just don't like that.
What if Christie's argument was, and I asked him this in a one-on-one interview, I said, Governor, what do you say to those who say you hurt Mitt Romney? He says, you know what my job was to do?
I've heard this 1,000 times.
My job was to help the people who couldn't get back into their homes.
He had to do the high fives on the boardwalk with President Obama. He wasn't going to get the money if he didn't bear hug President Obama, high five him, and play the football game, the little carnival game on the.
You think that was for show?
Absolutely for show. Sure. Yeah, it's coming around to bite him in the butt, too, right now. He went full-in centrist Republican moderate, right? Now, and then a couple months later, he takes a shot at libertarians, Rand Paul. Remember, he said that wing of the party is a problematic libertarian wing. And he alienated himself. He put himself in a John McCain, Mitt Romney, and now Chris Christie mold that frankly, will never win.
You think a guy like Rand Paul, that wing of the party, has a legitimate shot not only at the nomination but of winning the presidency?
I don't know. Here's what I do think, though. It's the right way to go. So if you put up a Rand Paul right now, or even Ted Cruz, who can be perceived as a little crazy, a little wacky.
You like that?
Here's the thing. I like the progress. This is where we're headed. This is the direction of the party. It's not that stable, old school establishment, let's go drop bombs on everyone on the planet if we don't like them, tax more, spend more. I just don't like the moderate republicanism that hasn't done a thing for the party in 30 years. Name one president, Republican, that's made a difference.
You don't like moderate stuff. You like clear points of view, even if it's...
You know what, Steve? I'm a business guy. I like to keep more of my own money. I like to make my own decisions and help people. We're the most philanthropic country on the planet.
I also know you're very charitable. You just don't want the money going to government. Eric Bolling, you mind if I plug? We can plug on public broadcasting, you know that? Eric Bolling is the co-host of The Five, on at 5 with 5 terrific people. Plug the other people you're on.
To my left, Kimberly Guilfoyle, Andrew Tanteros, Bob Beckel, Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld. It's a great show. That's 6, but we only have 5.
Beckel's definitely on your left. So, and Cashin In is the highest rated show on the weekends, and it's on
11:30 Eastern on Saturday morning.
Good stuff. Eric Bolling.
Steve, good to see you, man.
Good to see you. This is good.
When can I get you a flag pin? Can I get you a flag pin?
We can wear. I'd love to get that.
Will it burn if you put it on? Will it singe the suit? No?
Hey, listen, I don't have to be a libertarian to be patriotic. How dare you?
I love you.
Love you, too. We'll be right back right after this from the Tisch WNET studio in the heart of Lincoln Center with Eric Bolling. We'll be back.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey, NJIT, New Jersey Natural Gas, MAGNACARE, Sun National Bank, the New Jersey Education Association, and by the Russell Berry Foundation. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been made possible in part by activists and the American Medicine Chest Challenge.